Hi there, my name is David A. Robertson, and I am the author of the song I called them home, and how exciting it's being adapted in this way. The St. Clair Catholic District School Board celebrates Indigenous authors, artists, musicians, and more all throughout the year, which is awesome. It's an opportunity to learn more about all these great artists and the work that they do, and for this project to learn a bit more about my book, and having me talk a little bit about it will help you connect with the story and what it has to offer, which I think is quite a bit. And I think any good picture book offers more below the surface if you really want to dig into it than what you read just on the surface level. I wanted to share something to you in the short time that I have about the book and what I was trying to do with it, and some of the things that I was trying to honor in writing the song that called them home. One of them just like is in writing a picture book. What you have to do to write a good picture book. You have to think about not only the words that you use, but also all the different elements that are included in the story itself, which most importantly are the images. So you have to make sure that you're writing to honor the images, and also writing so you don't duplicate what you already see in the images. And the other level of this book is the songs. There are 2 songs in the book, and in my head I had an idea of what those songs would sound like, and how they might be sung. I used some traditional songs to figure out what the rhythm of the songs might be to fit in the right lyrics, and how the lyrics would go along with that rhythm. But the great thing about art is that it's all up to interpretation. It's going to be sung differently by however many people sing the song. It'll be sung differently, and so you have to also make sure that you write songs that can be interpreted and used differently. And that was a challenge, but also a great challenge. And when you write a picture book, the other thing is to think about just the rhythm of the story in itself. And so when you read the book, or when you see it performed, when you see it read, hopefully in how I wrote it, it'll help you develop in how it was written, the right kind of cadence or flow of the story. Because every picture book that I think is great, it reads almost like a song. It reads like a poem. And I've always said that picture books are like poems. They're like poetry. And so there's songs literally in the song that called them home, but the book in itself, I hope, is a song. And there's visuals, there's music, there's words. And the last thing is that not only does it do all of those things, it also is a nod to some of the books that I read when I was a kid that I loved, like Outside Over There by Maurice Sendak. But more than anything, it's also a way to honor traditional storytelling. And so my dad, when he was a kid, was living on the trap line, and he saw Mimikwituak. He saw little people in a little boat on the water. And he remembers when he used to tell me that this boat was coming towards him, and it looked like it was very small. He thought because it was far away, but as it got closer, the people in the boat and the boat itself remained small, and he realized that he was being approached by the Mimikwituak, and they sailed by him, and they went right into a waterfall and disappeared. And I just think it shows you that, and I think this performance in this piece here shows you that there are things in the world that we don't understand. There's magic to stories. There's magic in the world that we don't understand, and so I think it's great to explore. And stories help us to explore, and they help us to learn. And they help us to be entertained, and to entertain. So I love that this story is being done in this way. I love that there's a celebration of Indigenous art that's happening in this school board and across school boards in Ontario. And I hope you enjoy it. And thanks for letting me do this intro. I really appreciate it.
Bonjour. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me in your classroom once again. My name is Moses Luna. I'm from the community of Kettle and Stony Point First Nation. And I'm here to, to start things off here, I'm here to tell you about a very special paint project to end the school year. Yeah, one more paint project. Now, we're starting things off here a little bit differently. And as you can see, I'm outside here. I'm coming to you from my backyard here, and it's a beautiful day here in Kettle Point. The sun is shining. We have some very beautiful blue skies here. I'm under a nice shady maple tree. It's giving me some good shade. And there's a nice cool breeze coming off the lake here, so it's very comfortable. It's very relaxing here. We got some birds singing. I see waboos, a rabbit in my yard looking around. We got some grass growing, some flowers blooming. And I'm very fortunate to be seated next to this fire here, this beautiful fire. So yeah, very blessed here in Kettle Point. Now I wanted to start things off here, I wanted to talk a little bit about this fire. You see, fire is very important in my culture. We have sacred fire, yes, but one of the things about fire is that it's a place where we gather. And when we gather around that fire, we share stories. Now for indigenous people, traditionally, the time of storytelling would take place in the fall. Yeah, the winter months. Yeah, we get around that fire, keep warm, and we share some good stories. So that fire is very important to us that way. Another thing I wanted to share about storytelling as it relates to my culture, we have what is called the oral tradition. The oral tradition. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's being able to share the story verbally. When I think about the oral tradition, I think about the elders in my community. I've been very blessed to have the opportunity to sit down amongst elders and to listen to many stories that they have shared. And when I listen to them, they're masters of being able to share that story. They have that gift. It just kind of flows out of them at ease. And it's good to sit back and listen to some of the things that they have to share with you. Because some of our stories, you know, they're based, some of them have a traditional teaching, some of them are comical, some of them are sad, some of them are factual, but yeah, really, really good stories. And as most of you know, when I talk about my artwork and my paintings, people ask me all the time, well, what's your inspiration? And oftentimes I say, well, it comes from story. Today, when we think about story, we have many resources in which we can get that story. Some of them right away, right up to the minute. We can get that story on our cell phone. We can turn on the radio, we can hear that story. We can turn on the TV, we can see that and hear that story. Or we can visit our local library and we can get a book to hear that story. Now, when I was doing a little bit of research as to what we could do for a paint project, I was reading a number of books until I came across a book that I connected to right away. I thought it was very, very special. And this book kind of took me back to my younger days when I was young and hearing some of the stories that my mom shared with me. And this is the book that he had written. And it's called The Song That Called Them Home. A beautiful book. It's very well illustrated, beautiful artwork. But as I mentioned, I connected to this book right away. And it took me back to the days when I would visit my mom's old homestead in Stony Point First Nation. And around her homestead, they have a river that's going through the bush. And that river or that stream is at the bottom of a very steep hill. And so one day when we were back there, we were walking along that river and walking along the edge there where the hill was. And I said to my mom, there's some holes that are in that hillside there. And she said, yes. Those were the homes or the places where you could find the little people. And I thought to myself, the little people? That is the very first time I heard about the little people. So obviously I had more questions. I wanted to know more. So I asked her about the little people. And she said that the only way to see the little people is that when you're a youth, only the children could see the little people. And when you do, it's good to leave them gifts. So I said, what kind of gifts? Well, she said they like candy, and you could leave them tobacco. You could also leave them clothing. So whenever you see the little people, yeah, leave them some gifts. So you put it out at night, you leave it there for them, and you wake up the next day and you look at that spot and you'll notice those gifts are gone. It's the little people who have come for those gifts. The other thing that she told me about the little people is that you have to be careful around the little people, not to get them angry at you, because if you do, they could play tricks on you. So you have to be careful. So it's good to leave them gifts. That way you're in good standing with the little people. So that was the very first time I learned about the little people, and right away this story connected me to those times when my mom was sharing about the little people. Now, for our paint project, I'm going to share this story with you. I'm going to read it to you, and when we do, when we finish reading the story, this is when we are going to recreate the painting based on the story here. So let's get ready for a good old story here, the song that called them home. The other thing I wanted to share about this story here is that it also features music. There's this very special song in this story, and to add to our experience today, a friend of mine is going to share a very special song with you guys, inspired by this story as well. So let's get ready, let's relax, let's hear a good story. The Song That Called Them Home by David Robinson. On a clear day in the middle of summer, Lauren and her little brother James went on a trip to the land with their Mashome. It was a long journey, and when they arrived, Mashome fell asleep. While Mashome dreamed his dreams, Lauren's stomach began to rumble. She imagined a big fish they could all share and took James into the canoe to catch their supper. But Lauren hadn't paddled a canoe herself before, so they drifted farther and farther from the shore. In the middle of the lake, James's fishing hook dove underneath the surface, while Lauren stirred the water to attract fish. Around them, tiny circles got bigger and bigger. Suddenly, the circles rolled into waves that crashed against the canoe, rocking it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The children tumbled overboard, and the swirling water pulled them in. Lauren looked around for James, but didn't see him until he cried out. The Mimkwesiwak were taking him away, across the lake and through a waterfall. Lauren chased after them. Behind the waterfall, she found a portal to another place, a place she could not yet see, a place that made her whole body tremble. but she knew James needed her, so she took a deep breath in, then let it out and made herself calm. She squeezed between rocks, swam down a long dark tunnel, and went where the water went, right into the other side. Lauren followed the bends and curves of the watery pathway, searching for James. She swam past the thick green forest, under vast blue skies. Then she came to an island where she saw figures moving in a round dance and a fire with flames reaching to the stars. And there was James dancing his best, joined together with all the rest. Lauren tried to pull him away, but instead found herself linking hands with the Mimkwesiwak. She began to move with the others right beside her little brother. They shuffled their feet, swung their arms, and danced along to the Mimkwesiwak song.
Way oh hey, way oh hey, way oh hey, hey.
What a bright, beautiful summer day.
Way hey, way hey.
We don't want you to ever go.
Way oh, way oh.
We want you to always stay.
Way hey, way hey.
What a beautiful place to call your home.
Way oh, way oh. Way oh hey, way oh hey, way oh hey, hey.
They danced faster and faster, for minutes that turned into hours that turned into days. They danced so long that Lauren forgot why she had come at all. But then they heard another song that sounded like distant thunder. Thump thump, thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. Lauren stopped dancing to listen, and so too did James. The children could feel the drum in their chests, just like the beat of their hearts. The Mimkwesiwak let go of their hands and plunged into the water from the land. Thump thump, thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. Lauren and James danced once more toward the song, moving their feet to its familiar rhythm. Thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. They danced past the thick green forest, under vast blue skies. Thump thump, up they climbed toward the portal, then in. Thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. They squeezed between rocks, swam down a long dark tunnel, and went where the water went, right into the other side. Thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. Lauren and James swam to Mashom, who was waiting at the shore, singing and playing his drum, hoping that his grandchildren would one day come. That night they danced around a fire to the song that called them home.
Soft like words will help me
way-o.